Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you, I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile bonds, ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a million though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is so. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands, I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
All that debating cease and take seats. I hate to be the one say I ain't keep 100. Dread you changing me, we major league. They pay to see the way that we come and compete. It's clear to me, you talking off and me. You say the least, you better believe we been through the ringer, moved through to them arenas. Menu that's for dinner or the ring of 5 fingers. And the difference that's between us, read it written in subpoenas. So in other words, the game that need us, we just reinvigorated. Little agitated, had to get them activated. No kind of active ain't it? And my occupation got me agitated, but I'm obligated later. Rest of conversating, be an understatement just to say that. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though, so here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands, I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
Yeah, they don't know their own strength. We go to length to show them all. That's why we came with no restraint. Anywhere we go against, it's over with. We pull the boulder at the bottom older. They just know that we are not gonna be going quiet. Got it on autopilot, automatic, stuck louder than all your bias. We on top, give you my word, you hold them by it. Hold the rise, letting the army that's behind them remind them that I am
invincible. I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands, I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
never fall back. We will stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Come up with a game plan. Double XL up in the pen, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man. Moving too quick, keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Head on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at, never fall back. No lies, no facts, we gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Been way down, never falter. Came with the hands out, get them off us. I'm 24/7 in the office. Pay attention cause I ain't repeating offers. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need a hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Yeah, no lies, all facts. You can find me right where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. nothing to it. Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you, I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile bond, so ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is something. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
All that debating cease and take seats. I hate to be the one say I ain't keep 100. Dread you changing me, we major league. They pay to see the way that we come and compete. It's clear to me, you talking off and me. You say the least, you better believe we been through the ringer, moved through to them arenas. Menu that's for dinner or the ring of 5 fingers. And the difference that's between us, read it written in subpoenas. So in other words, the game that need us, we just reinvigorated. Little agitated, had to get them activated. No kind of active ain't it? And my occupation got me acting jaded, but I'm obligated later. Rest of conversating be an understatement just to say that. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though, so here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
Yeah, they don't know their own strength. To go to length to show them all. That's why we came with no restraint. Anywhere we go against it's over with. We pull the boulder at the bottom of it. And just know that we are not gonna be going quiet. Got it on autopilot, automatic, stuck louder than all your bias. We on top. Give you my word, you hold them by it. Hold the rise, letting the army that's behind them remind them that I am
Invincible. I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
never fall back. We will stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Come up with a game plan. Double XL up in the pen, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man. Moving too quick, keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, so tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Lay it on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at, never fall back. No lies, no facts, we gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Been way down, never falter. Came with the hands out, get them off us. I'm 24/7 in the office. Pay attention cause I ain't repeating offers. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need the hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Yeah. No lies, all facts. You can find me right where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never python. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile born, so ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is so. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
All that debating cease and take seats. I hate to be the one say I ain't keep a hunt. Dread you changing me, we major league. They pay to see the way that we come and compete. It's clear to me, you talking off and on me. You say the least, you better believe we been through the ringer, we're through to them arenas. Menu that's for dinner or the ring of 5 fingers. And the difference that's between us, read it written in subpoenas. So in other words, the game that need us, we just reinvigorated. Little agitated, had to get them activated. No kind of active ain't it? And my occupation got me acting jaded, but I'm obligated later. Rest of conversating be an understatement just to say that this is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though, so here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
Yeah, they don't know their own strength. To go to length to show them all. That's why we came with no restraint. Anywhere we go against, it's over with. We pull the boulder out the bottom molded. And just know that we are not gonna be going quiet. Got it on autopilot, automatic, stuck louder than all your bias. We on top, give you my word, you hold them by it. Hold the rise, letting the army that's behind them remind them that I am
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
never fall back. We gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Come up with a game plan. Double XL up in the pen, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man. Moving too quick, keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Lay it on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back. No lies, no facts. We gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Been way down, never faltered. Came with the hands out, get them off us. I'm 24/7 in the office. Pay attention cause I ain't repeating offers. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need the hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Yeah. No lies, all facts. You can find me right where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. nothing to it. Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you, I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile born, so ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is something. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that, y'all. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
All that debating cease and take seats. I hate to be the one say I ain't keep 100. Dread you changing me, we major league. They pay to see the way that we come and compete. It's clear to me, you talking off and me. You say the least, you better believe we been through the ringer, we're through to them arenas. Menu that's for dinner or the ring of 5 fingers. And the difference that's between us, read it written in subpoenas. So in other words, the game that need us, we just reinvigorated. Little agitated, had to get them activated. No kind of active ain't it? And my occupation got me acting jaded, but I'm obligated later. Rest of conversating, be an understatement just to say that. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that though, so here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
Yeah, they don't know their own strength. To go to length to show them all. That's why we came with no restraint. Anywhere we go against, it's over with. We pull the boulder at the bottom over. They just know that we are not gonna be going quiet. Got it on autopilot, automatic, stuck louder than all your bias. We on top. Give you my word, you hold them by it. Hold the rise, letting the army that's behind them remind them that I am
invincible. I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am.
never fall back. We will stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Ha. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Come up with a game plan. Double XL up in the pen, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man.
All right, hold on one second, everyone. I gotta get the camera right. All right, let me get situated. Hey, everyone, welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Disaster Podcaster, the industry's only live podcast talk show. So we are morphing in front of our very own eyes, but we do have a live talk show, and I want to welcome all of you. We've got a really good overall arching topic today. I'm hoping for some callers, certainly some comments, and I think this is going to be a really good one. But I've certainly got some parameters that I want to talk about. What we're going to talk about today openly is about the insurance tactics that are being used by insurance companies on behalf of their claims, and that involves us and the insured. We're going to talk about that, and it steals the profits from hardworking contractors like you. But we're not completely faultless either, and I'm going to talk about that. So we're going to have a really good discussion about that today. We're going to talk about a term. If I can pull it up here. No, I pulled up the wrong one. Well, we're going to talk about a term called bad faith. It's an intent to deceive. That is an insurance company's intention to deceive people, not only their customer, but yes. So we're going to talk about that today. And then we've got a really, really good example to go through on screen, an email chain from an adjuster and a carrier, and some of their tactics. It's nothing you probably haven't seen before, but we have a redacted copy that we're going to go through today. So come right back, episode 2, Disaster Podcaster. Hey everyone, it's your friend here, Clark Brown, Disaster Podcaster, and as I promised, we're gonna have a really, really good one today. I think we've got everything set up. I think we look good. We're just gonna adjust here a little bit. Couldn't look any better. You know, it's like putting lipstick on a pig, right? A couple of things going on today. I really, really want to just start off by telling you thank you for being here. I'm gonna throw up on the screen. We are taking live callers. So as we go throughout the day, if anything that I've talked about for the past week on any of my social media channels, inside of our Restoration Nation, anything you just want to talk about and as it pertains to this subject as well, give us a call at 833-262-2410. You'll be put on live. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your stories about this, and it will make for good information for everyone else. So really, really want to encourage people to listen in and especially call in. I want to first off tell you, since we are discussing the area of dealing with carriers, and just don't leave out our friends, the TPAs on this, right? We have a really great and free resource that I want to bring up for you. Where is it? It's right here. If you go to restorationadvisors.com/blog/you have permission to stop, that link will be in the description of this live, as well as the podcast, as well as the YouTube video. Everywhere that you see this, you can look in the description and you'll see that. I want you to go and follow that, and you're going to just, say, hey, I want this free download. It's a template that we wrote of how to respond to some of these answers or some of these inquiries or negotiations or attempts to negotiate that come from a carrier. So go grab that, download it, meet with your team, see if it's something you want to implement into your workflow, and I think it really, really might help you a lot. So put the number back on the screen. So get the free download. It's great. It's going to kind of tie into what we're doing today, and you're probably really going to understand it a lot more at the end after we've talked about and have seen some examples of these things. I'd like to remind everyone about this show format now real quick. Everyone hates a long intro. This show is now live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We go live, streaming in Disaster Podcasters Facebook page, Restoration Advisors YouTube channel. The live aspect is happening there. On Friday, we release the podcast in multiple groups, but also those as well as Disaster Podcaster. All of this information is in the description down below of this video. So you don't have to remember anything. You just have to remember to check the description. Go check it out later. If you're listening to this after the live and you hear something you want to talk about, drop us a comment, send us an email, contact us. You want to come on as a guest, feel so. But I will bring up any questions at the beginning of next time's episodes or next episode of any questions you've asked. So feel free to do that. Follow it there. Have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kahi. Kahi is a asset management and fleet. It's just an overall asset and fleet management system. They have great work. They can track your equipment. This is what we call passive. It doesn't require any input from your team. It's proximity. They also have cameras for the forward-facing and rear-facing inside the cabs of your truck. So see what your techs are doing, not what we recommend it's for. Look at who's there. It's also some timekeeping stuff going on. There's some really cool stuff. Go to kahi.io. Kahi.io, of course, description and link. Check them out. Do a demo. Doesn't cost you anything. They're really doing some great stuff, and they are currently integrating with a lot of the CRMs and the software that we're using in this industry. So just check with them, ask if it works with what you're using. If not, if it's not there now, it should be coming up really soon. So let me look real quick. No comments yet, no callers. Very cool. We do have some listeners. Thank you for watching live, and I certainly want some comments from you guys. What I want to talk about today, and the title is Adjusters Say the Darndest Things. And they do. Anybody that's been in this industry long enough has more than a few stories about the request, the opinions, the stances, or just the shenanigans that adjusters and their staff, and I really want to use the word adjusters loosely because it's not always an adjuster that you're dealing with, and that's going to be very important to highlight later as we're doing this. TPAs, they say the darndest things, and I really want to kind of build some reference around that. But you know, how you communicate with them really means a lot, and for a lot of reasons. And if you will, I have a book here, and this is important, and I really want you to bear with me a minute. This is a book that I have. I've read it twice, maybe more. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Now, you may ask yourself, what does ego have to do with any of this? I just want you to know that how you deal with insurance companies and your employees and your team and your company is watching means everything. The culture of your company and your stance, does it match your core values? I watch a lot of restoration professionals, remediation guys and gals get really upset real easy and real quick, and probably go beyond what they wanted to. So I'm just going to read an excerpt or two, not all of them, and get the book. It's all about ego. Ego shows up in a lot of different ways, but this is important. So under the chapter, talk. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Lao Tzu, Art of War. What I think they mean there, and in the context of this, is you aren't required to communicate with adjusters. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Don't be emotional. Don't fly out the handle and get mad because they make a request, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I like that term. So, you know, less is more. You've heard of that. Those who have subdued their ego understand that it doesn't degrade you when others treat you poorly, it degrades them. What that means is take the high road. Don't lower yourself to there. If you know your invoice is solid, you did good work, you provided good documentation, why would you discount? Insurance company cannot tell you what you should charge. So I thought that was a pretty good quote. And that may be about it. I had a couple of them here, and I certainly don't want to have a reading lesson on the phone today. The podcast. Here's another one. Last one. Restrain yourself. And this is about Booker T. Washington. If anyone has ever read a book about Booker T. Washington, that was one impressive dude. He knows his stuff. I'll tell you that. He should have had a podcast. It would have been Peanut Podcaster, right? Okay. I have observed that those who have accomplished the greatest results are those who keep under the body, are those who never grow excited or lose control, but are always calm, self-possessed, patient, and polite. So I want us to talk today about changing our approach to dealing with insurance companies and try to be more polite. And I'm going to talk to you about some things that I think that will help you understand their position. And I think that's going to help frame this. Last thing I do before we start getting into it, there's a book by Chris Voss. It's called Never Split the Difference. I know a lot of you have read this. Chris Voss was an FBI hostage negotiator for a very long time and he has written these series of books, and he does a podcast and a blog and stuff like that, but talking about how bringing in some negotiating skills into your area of negotiating with business are very valuable. Now, when I say negotiating, I don't always mean giving something away. Sometimes negotiating is just positioning where the other person understands your stance. You answer their questions of what they don't know. Okay. So we're gonna get started. This all started from a client of mine last week that sent me an email, said, "Hey, what do I do with this freaking dumpster fire?" And I'm gonna show you that email redacted. But I want to talk about 5 things that outline my stance, my approach to dealing with insurance companies, and specifically in discussions with that. And first off, you aren't required to do anything but to discuss scope. Okay? Discuss the scope. This is what we're going to, this is our approach. This is our training has led us to believe this is the best way to restore, to return this property, to make it safe, whatever the peril is, whatever the issue is. Discuss the scope. Now, this might not apply if you are on insurance programs. I'm under the impression that you have to really work with them. They have some guidelines. You signed up for that, you've got to follow their guidelines. But never, ever, ever do you do something against the standard, because I'm seeing a lot of things from adjusters that are not only their stance, but trying to misquote the CRC S500, the 520, or whatever standard of care for the work that you've done. You, even if you're on a program or TPA, you are the trained professional. You can tell them that's wrong. That's not how that works, and you should be documenting as such. So that was number 1, discuss the scope. Number 2, if we're talking about emergency services, we're talking about mitigation, we're talking about water, fire, or something. If you do the work and turn in an invoice, that is an invoice, it's not an estimate. I think the sooner that we stop using the word estimate in the wrong place, the sooner we get our head and our team's head wrapped around the idea that this is an invoice, it's not an estimate. The word estimate begots that it's negotiable. There's some room for us to change it. Now, I will admit that there have been some auditors and adjusters and consultants that have looked at an invoice and found an error. Too many zeros, too many people, too many, just an anomaly. 600 square feet instead of 60 square feet, something like that. That's an error. We'll immediately make that change. You should be catching it yourself, but I understand things happen. Audit your files before they go out and make them impervious, impenetrable, and bulletproof, Superman. That's okay. They come back to you and say, hey, your invoice is wrong because of this. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate you telling me. So it's non-negotiable. Other than that, we're going to talk about onboarding your customer, and you're going to tell them this is not a negotiation. I'll also tell you about UPPA. I'll put that in the show notes. That is called the Unlawful Practice of Public Adjusting. This is very important to understand when you do discussions with insurance companies. A public adjuster and an attorney that has the rights are the only ones that can represent the customer on their claim against the insurance company. Our job is we are a contractor. We were hired by the insured to do whatever needed to be done to return their home to a safe or pre-loss condition or whatever that promise is. That's it. We can talk about the work we did with them. Don't have conversations with insurance companies without your customer present. If it's an email, make sure they're CC copied. If it's a phone call, set up a conference call between all 3. Customer can't make it, then you wait until they can make it. You don't have that call. None of this changes your job. Insurance company needs information. They should be getting it from them. They need something to know about what you do. They're only going to want to ask you what you're doing so that they can tell you you're doing it wrong, and then they would be wrong. So UPPA, look it up. Be very careful. It is enforceable. I do know people that have gotten in serious trouble about it. Just knowing what it is will help you push off these calls. The other is my stance, the number 4 is empowering your client. Empower your client to advocate for themselves. Not all jobs need a public adjuster. There is a time when a public adjuster might be needed, but you as a contractor have seen insurance cases, situations done enough times. You know what the ask is going to be. You know what slows them down, hopefully what speeds them up. Empower the customer, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but you can be a resource to your customer. You're doing your job, the physical work that needs to be done on their project and their property and their contents or whatnot. But you also can be a resource that's saying, but I'm also going to extend my value that I've actually done this a long time. But you're not their advocate. You're not their adjuster. You're not their attorney. You're not their counselor. You can't step over that line. You need to empower them to do it, because empowering them to do it will lead you to tons more of value, to have them have ownership of what the work that you did, the financial obligation that they signed for when they signed your contract, and then what they should be holding their insurance company accountable for. The last one is onboarding. Everything I've talked about up to this point is customer onboarding. It's actually a course that I've got a comment here. Phil McGurk from Australia and I are traveling the country starting in actually March 28th. We're going to be in Atlanta. We're going to Nashville. We're going to Dallas. We're teaching a one-day workshop. Phil's teaching a CEO masterclass the first day, and I'm teaching client onboarding. It's a real high level, the framework of starting from the beginning, and starting from the beginning when you first meet your customer, and let them know how this is gonna go. Tell them your requirements from them and their requirements and their expectations of you, what they should expect, because that's what they're going to get. Open up for any questions. What are their concerns? But if you control the narrative before this other stuff starts happening with the contractor, especially long after you're finished, you're going to be in a much better place. So these will have popped up on the screen. If you watch the replay, those are my 5 stances on dealing with insurance companies. You'll see me sometimes saying, if you really, really want to, you could ghost the insurance company. You could pretend that you are retail only, and it doesn't matter who their insurance company is. There is a place for that is successful for a lot of people. I would say you probably provide some value to your customer to continue to be a support system for them and help them to navigate that. But that doesn't mean you absorbing that for them. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy means, I can understand how this is probably making you feel. I can understand the hardship to your schedule. But they had a fire. They had a flood in their house, and they bought this property. That's their obligation. Sympathy is, it hurts me too, and I'm going to do something about it. Don't overgive. It's really tough for our industry because we are extremely empathetic people. It's at the core of what we do. We're trying to help, but you need to help your company, and we're going to talk about that. So customer onboarding is literally setting the expectations, empowering the customer to be an advocate for themselves and be a cheerleader for you and your company. I won't go into that framework now. I would love for you to make to one of our classes. I'm going to turn that into a course online one day. It's got to get a little bit more time. I'm going to bring up a comment here on the screen. The job description is to lower the price. This is because they don't understand the intricacies, the business costs of the industry. It's our job to clearly provide the benefits we provide. Yeah. That's what Phil's saying. I think he's got some more comments down here. Yeah. So the insurance company, it's arguable, Phil. It's arguable to say that they do or don't know the intricacies. A lot don't. You certainly get some lower level adjusters and auditors. But it's not to the insurance company. Plumbers don't deal with this. Plumbers, HVAC companies, this is the work. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to charge. We turn in an invoice. Customer pays it. They don't, there's repercussions. So before I move on a little bit more, there's our number, 833-262-2410. Drinking my coffee on screen because it's a live talk show and I get to do that, right? It's my show. I can do what I want to. Thank you, Phil. Phil McGurk from Queensland, Australia, was just here in America for a couple of shows. Went to I believe he was on the standards board or one of the committees with the ICRCs, helping write new standards, helps with the consensus body to get involved in a lot of our industry. I'm really excited to have Phil back here in America. Starting in March, we're going to go to a couple cities. We're going to be at the RA together, really aligned with professionalism, and we have to own our own shit. We can't just be scrappy contractors. We can't just be scrappy contractors that just do whatever we want to do and just hand in the invoice. There are some best practices and standards that we should follow to turn that in. So Phil, like myself and probably like you, really want to see the bar raised, and that becomes more common. My other position on this topic before I go into some other things are why I think it's critical that you change your process to include this mindset. Now, I want to say this. I don't need people to do it because I'm saying doing it. If you want to do it differently, that's fine. I have a logo, a motto. I'm trying to do something, not be somebody. I don't need anyone to say this is the way that Clark did it. I'm just giving you some fuel for your engine and to change your mind. And I'll also say I know this works. I am absolutely, you can't convince me that shifting your mind over to be customer-facing, customer-centric, not dealing with the insurance company. You know, listen, Xactimate comes into this too. We're going to talk about that. Xactimate, estimating what the prices should be. It's a huge part of this conversation, and we're going to come to that. So before I go into that, what's your thoughts on the homeowners? I guess from Phil again. What's your thoughts on the homeowners being the loss adjuster with the new apps in the market? Phil, I think what you're talking about is there are some new apps coming out where adjusters are just trying to find more. Insurance companies are just, and adjusters know this, and actually adjusters are really scared for their jobs because they're being replaced by apps and AI electronics. The technology is growing and increasing where the homeowners, the insured, can now use apps to document, and that already exists in the auto body. If you ever had that happen where you can take pictures of the problem, turn it in, and in some cases, they will settle the claim. They will settle the claim the way they see fit through your pictures, which are never, ever enough. But that's going to happen. It's coming. It's already here in some levels. Xactimate's involved with that. Insurance adjusters are afraid of their jobs. And that's why the level of insurance adjusters, if you've been in this business for over 8 years, you have seen the decline in the professionalism and the quality and the knowledge base that they have. Adjusters are now, and many, many times in cases, are not adjusters. They are auditors. There's a couple technical representatives, certainly TPAs and third parties, arguably have never stepped on a construction site or especially a fire or water damage and don't have a clue what that goes through. But we've also never been an adjuster, right? So thank you, Phil. Yeah, that's his thoughts too, that you know the good adjusters want the right work done and they know what it costs to do it. Now, whether they can do it or not, mothership carrier may tell them this is the number we want to hit for our stockholders and our stakeholders of our company this year, and they may not have any options but to tell you we don't pay for this or pay for that. So why I think you really want to, I'm going to breeze through this, why I think you should make this change sooner than later to your business, to your workflow, onboarding your customer, changing your mindset. And guys, I know this is popular because hundreds of people have reached out and responded to some posts that I've made about who would be interested in this. Everybody wants this. This is the golden grail, but how do we do it? So that's the work that has to be done. Your profit, every time you get on a phone call, every time you engage with the insurance company, you delay their payment. You give them another week to process whatever it is you tell them. You're going to send them more information. Maybe you submitted it all with your invoice and you put F9 notes like crazy. I'll tell you that they get those from most contractors. They know everything that you're sending them for backup, why you did this, why you did that. They already know that, but it's a process. This is designed. Delay, Deny, Defend is a book. Read it. Jay Feynman. Get the book. Delay, Deny, Defend. This is all programmed. This is all engineered. We are part of their program until you make it your own program. So your profit is at stake, not your revenue, your profit. Stop talking to carriers. Stop dealing with carriers. Stop getting emotional in argument and getting these 3 and 4 week long. I know people that spend 5 hours crafting up an email, finding case law and state statutes and all this and all that. None of that is needed. Your customer owes to pay you. It's their job. If they are being mistreated, and we're going to talk about how to show them they're being treated with bad faith, let them do the legwork, because unless you're charging for it, then do it all the time. But if you're the owner, don't be doing it. increased efficiency. You have so much more time to work on your company when you're not dealing with insurance companies and arguing with them. Listen, I don't want you to be rude. I want you to have your ego in check. Oh, I want you to have your ego in check. Okay? I want you to have that book. Remember to be professional. They're just people. They're not saying the work that you're doing is bad. They're not saying that you didn't do the job. They're not saying that you are a bad restorer. They're not insulting your mom on the playground. They're just saying, I work for a company who wants to make $40 trillion this year, and we are powerful, and we come across contractors all the time that do exactly what we say, and we think you're going to do the same thing because we're not going to pay that. And a lot of people will say, oh, okay. So stop all that. Work on your company, all the other things. You're documenting your processes, training and hiring the right people so that you don't have to go to every job. You can't ever get, you always wonder, why can't I get enough time? Because you're doing a roundabout with adjusters on jobs that you've already done that you should be telling your customer you owe me in time. And then the last one is, well, that was the last one, just spending more time on your company. Just like the restoration industry, they're struggling to employ good adjusters and having to overpay just to get the adjusters. And say, Phil again. Phil is being a very great guest today. I wish you'd call in, mate. Just like the restoration industry, the insurance adjusters are struggling, carriers, to find good adjusters. Because listen, there's a cost of them doing bad work too. It hurts their brand. It hurts their renewals. Their agents get really depleted. I know a lot of agents that work for big primaries that say, I don't even want to sell your insurance anymore because y'all handle your claims so badly, my customer. The same thing with contractors, but they just say, we won't refer contractors anymore. So it happens on both sides. So just really want to tell you that you you're not required. I watch a lot of new people come into this industry and believe, because the world we're a copy and paste society, because this is the way it's always been done. That's the way we should keep doing it. You've heard that. I have brand new restoration companies that, a spinoff started. They worked for someone, they worked for a bad company, said, oh man, I can go do this. I got some equipment. And they start up and they either are told by everyone else, this is how you have to do it, or wherever they just came from was doing that. We don't know what we don't know. We haven't read that book yet, but I'm here to tell you, it's not going to happen overnight. But those that have adopted this, those that have shifted, those that have understand their worth, those that have realized that the insurance companies don't give a hoot about who goes to a job. They will be more than happy to send a preferred vendor that possibly doesn't do great work. Not all program vendors do bad work. I'm not going to say that. But we all go behind a lot of these hacks. We all go behind a lot of these folks that just don't do a good job. 3-day dry guys, right? So if you're not one of those people, you have an obligation to convince the customer that they can use whoever they want to use. And that's what a lot of this is just about. In the link below, in the comments, in the descriptions, whatever, I want you to go to and register for our new platform. It's Restoration Nation. And why am I going to tell you to go there? It's because, it looks like we got Phil on the call here. I'm going to bring Phil in. It's because we're getting off of primary social media for lots of reasons. We've built our own universe called Restoration Nation. It's our own private place where we own what we say. We don't have ads and no lurking eyes. We get to vet who comes in there. We get to say who, professionals or non-professionals. We don't have any of this Facebook, social media stuff. We have a lot of resources. I'm doing a lot of educational things in there. A lot of other people are contributing. It's a lot like the other groups that we've had all the time, but it's just getting rid of the trash part, keeping the best part. Restoration Nation, links down below. It's restorationadvisors.com /R registration. Go sign up. You'll love it. Dozens of people a day are signing up. It's really, really cool. but I'm going to be teaching a workshop, and we're going to have a webinar probably in about 2 weeks about some of these topics, and we're going to set up probably a boot camp workshop to try to teach it, because it's one thing to come on a podcast and talk about it for what, 20, 30 minutes. Another is dig in, have a formulated curriculum around it, and really get it down, and then have some coaching to figure out how to do it. And then, guys, you're going to teach your team to do it. Last thing before I share the email that I want to show you is, if you are like a lot of people and you know yourself and you get really, really triggered. I'm going to bring Phil on a second here. Let me bring Phil in. Phil. Hey, Phil, you there? All right, we're going to try to work on getting Phil here. It shows him coming in, but he's not here. All right, Phil, stand by. We got a technical difficulty. We're going to get you in here. Maybe it doesn't like your Vegemite or something like that. All right, program's coming in here. Okay. Hey, Phil, you there? No?
Yeah, Matt, yep.
Oh, there you are. How you doing, bud?
I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me or not. We're going to go back and forth here for a second.
Oh, well,
Hello?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, cool. Are you in Queensland? Are you in Queensland right now? What time is it?
It's 6:30 in the morning.
Ah, just getting your first bowl.
Hello?
Just getting your first bowl of Fruit Loops, right? Or Vegemite soup.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what you think about this conversation. And for those listening, I don't know that you in Australia have the same issues or the exact issues. What's your stance on this topic here? I don't have you, Phil.
You can still hear me?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the environment there in Australia.
You got me, Clive?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so it's similar. It's going down the same pathway as the American base. There is the carriers that provide work. We just don't have the exacta mate billing system. It's just the TPAs. They put out a price that they expect you to work to. But again, I think it's more along the lines of, if you're just getting into the industry, it's a very good source of work because it's a constant work coming for you. And the difference with having a company for a while is that you can be a bit more picky, but you're still going to get the same problems with adjusters, carriers as well.
Phil, do you feel in the triangle of the relationship between a customer who hires you and the insurance and the contract, do you feel that they have a place, especially being unqualified, do they have a place to dictate the work that you do? Do you feel that they have that right because they're the ones ultimately writing the check? Because a customer is always getting their money from somewhere, whether it be their employer or a GoFundMe or something. But does that give the insurance company the right to state their profit margins because they want to cut the bill?
Well, again, it's like any business. Any business has the right to put a price on a product or service. As a contractor, you sign an agreement to either accept that or not. And I suppose the smaller the business is, the less the overhead. So the more willing you are to accept those at the start. But with any business, as you grow, so does the cost of business. And that's when I think the difficulties come from, is that we still expect to be paying the same outgoings. The insurance company, they put the price up for us, but our cost of business obviously goes up. So it's sort of a catch-22. Yes, I think they do have a place in the market. But again, I think as an industry, I think it's up to us to actually clean our own industry up and get some sort of standard together that all restaurants or that follow the same procedure, which will help.
100%.
I think that,
it's hard for us to make the argument because I will tell people all the time that program CPAs exist because of the wide spectrum of pricing. There's just no control. I mean, I've done classes where someone says this room floods, and I'll have 3 different numbers that are all 100% different. And so we've caused that. So yes, we have an obligation to clean up our own industry. And until we're regulated, until there's anyone can start a restoration company and anyone can charge what they want. I agree. It doesn't mean you're going to get paid that. But when an insurance company says, I only want to pay this, and we're about to go into this email, and listen, there are some times where they make an offer that's less than what we could even do the job for. And that's just not reasonable. But they do it all the time. This isn't like an anomaly. This is all the time. They'll have a third party across the country look at the pictures, write a scope, and write a price of a third of what your number is. That a person that never ever intends to actually come to your state and do the job, and they work for the insurance company. They're getting paid a fee to write that. That's a bias. That's a conflict of interest. And they send a check to the homeowner.
Yeah.
They send a check to the homeowner based on that, and then tell the homeowner, well, screw you for the rest of it. It's between you and this crooked contractor that's charging you too much. Because, and again, I think the Xactimate, the standardized pricing, or the perception of it, standardized pricing. But I just am a belief that if I am better than anybody else by a long mile in my market, I should be able to charge a premium for that, because to do that, I'm paying the right people, the right amount, the right training with the right equipment. There's a premium to run that business. And yes, I could be more efficient, and I can't lower my overhead to the point where I can charge what a Chuck in the truck could charge. So it's a very odd situation, but I think, Phil, is your conversation, your example is if you sign an agreement with an insurance company that that's what you're going to charge, shut up, zip your lips, do the work. You've agreed to it. I agree with you. I mean, now you can be professional, and you can tell the adjuster this really justify why something else needs to be done, and they're usually compliant. I don't think they really want to hurt someone, but this is why the better you get, the more you learn.
You also under no.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We got
just like they can sack you, you can sack them.
Yeah.
So it's I've got a saying that I sort of live by, and it simply goes: it's better to walk away from a good quote than to accept a bad quote. So and people have to realise that you're not going to win every job, but you can also set your business up to only look for those better jobs as well. You know, get the experience up with the day-to-day jobs. We all need that experience. But as you get further on in business, you should also have a plan to have a look at your profit and your margins and see where you can, where those jobs are coming from, the profitable jobs are, and target that as well. And I think most people forget that, is that they're not stuck with these carriers. There is options out there for companies. They just need to be educated and look for them. So,
well, and that's important to say, because that is a perception for a lot of people, that this is just how we have to do it, and that's why people will pick up the phone when an insurance company calls. They will pick up the phone, and when they're told something is something, that's what they'll do. Hey, we got a comment here from Gordy Powell. If you don't know Gordy, you'll probably meet him in Reno when we go. We let ourselves get bullied by the adjusters. Don't settle for third party. Time to enforce some tort laws against bad lowball peer reviews. I think, yes. So we're talking about accountability for people putting in peer reviews that have no intention. And that's just bad faith. That's bad faith. I opened with that in this session, was bad faith is an intent to deceive. Whether the carrier knows they're writing a bad sheet or not is questionable. Maybe there's plausible deniability there. And I think that's a lot of why they use third parties, because a big carrier doesn't get their hands dirty if they use an official another entity that's supposed to be specialized in estimating. But I can tell you right now, the system is broke, and I think you're going to see another example of it here. Hey, Phil, I don't want to rush you off, but I do want to get to this other section. I like to keep people here under an hour. Hey, when are you flying in? When are we going to see you back on the States?
Yeah, let me have a look. I get in on a Wednesday, I believe. So I've got to go to, where am I going? Las Vegas first. Just a quick little trip over there to Las Vegas, and then I'm heading up towards Washington.
Yep.
And then we'll catch up with our tour. So I can't wait, man. It's only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
People in for
We're going to be in.
People are in for a trip.
We're going to be in Metro Atlanta. We're actually going to be in Kennesaw, Georgia, which is northwest of Atlanta, about 25 miles, at EMTA, Emergency Mitigation Technical Academy, owned and operated by Mark Cornelius, who's an industry. We're going to have a great day there. It's 8 to 3:30. Sponsored for lunch, probably a really good lunch by Serum. So if anybody knows the product of Serum, they're going to be sponsored. Frank Kinmuth is kind enough to spring for some lunch, so we're going to get ribeyes. All right, Frank heard that. But we're going to have a good time. We're going to go to Nashville. We're going to do it in Nashville. We're going to take a lot of questions and answers on the topics that we're doing. We're going to really give a lot of value, and I can't wait to do it with you. And then we're going to do it in Australia maybe later this year in the summer or something like that, right?
So good. Absolutely.
Hey, brother.
I'll get you that Vegemite on toast, mate.
Thanks for calling in,
All
brother.
right.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
All right, we had a little bit of I think a lot of that was the location. So that was a great caller, bad connection. So we're not going to blame Phil for that. Phil's a great guy, by the way. Triple Master, CR, WLS. He's got all the certifications. Been doing this a long time, and he's got he's got a company that allows him annually, when we don't have a global pandemic, a company that allows him to come here for 2 or 3 months and visit our events, our IEQA, our RIA, and ICRC events and the experience. He comes here to learn because we have better education currently. But Scott McFadgen has a great school there. They are really, really stepping it up. But I think before I move on to the on-screen, I think what we're going to recognize from that call was Phil said it's starting to head that way. Well, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we weren't having these same conversations. We weren't seeing these bullies, as Gordy. Thank you, Gordy. We weren't seeing this bullying. We weren't seeing this aggressive and egregious activity. We were seeing it very minimally. Some carriers were starting to apply this. Currently today, it was said before that USAA for a long time was the best work you could get. You know, everybody saw a USAA claim come in, like, woohoo. People will say they're just as bad as everybody else now. I haven't owned a restoration company in a long time that I've had a USAA job, but I do remember Chubb, USAA, Cincinnati. It's going to be great. I want to tell you that just make all of your jobs that way. Tell the customer how you're going to do it. Be steadfast, be professional. Have rock solid processes for every job. Every job goes the same way. You turn in a mitigation checklist. We have that on our website. Turn in a checklist. It's done the same way. Adjuster doesn't ask for anything. Now, if they ask for something, it's something that has nothing to do with the job, and it's just a delay tactic. Okay, I'm going to do a screen share here. This is definitely where I could really mess things up, and I might end up needing Mr. Toby here. I'm going to go there. Let me give you some. Let me give you actually some background for this. This is redacted. I think the only information you're going to see here is I have left the carrier's name on there. I've removed the adjuster and the auditor's names, the client's name, and the contractor's name, and I think you see some dates here. A copy of this redacted will be in Restoration Nation. So I'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to go here. I think we're looking at it now. So what we have is a sizable loss. What is going on here? Okay. Sizable loss that this contractor did. I will tell you, this is in Wisconsin. The loss site was in Wisconsin, here in the U.S. Did this job. The carrier was Grange Insurance. I'm not real familiar with them. Don't have anything good or bad to say about them. Okay. Insurance company, I mean, and as of today, the client and the contractor are 100% connected. They see all of this and they're on the same page, and they're actually crafting an arguments with the DOI and the Attorney General of Wisconsin. This invoice was sent in and sent to Alacrity, third-party administrator, in behalf of Grange, trying to say, in reviewing, I built a comparative estimate using Xactimate. Let's see here. I'm going to go back here. I got to redo this, guys. I'm still so sorry. I just want to do this right, okay? I don't think I can scroll. And, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm here to do this on behalf of Grange. We offer $30,397.39. They claim they're using supporting documentation, ICRC standards. This contractor didn't do this job. The contractor didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything wrong? Oh, I wasn't on the screen. Sorry. My producer just came in here and said I wasn't on the screen. They just came back, said change all the HMR codes to WRT. They removed the Matterport. Their opinion Matterport wasn't needed. Not deducting these. This is just for doors, cabinets, vanities, and whatnot. So as we go into this, you'll see a series of responses back and forth. Let's see, pages. Excuse me here. Excuse me. I don't want to do this. I think you can see my screen here. Okay. I want to go full screen. I'm sorry, everyone. I told you this was live before, didn't I? This is how we do it. Okay, so I really have to start at the bottom because this is an email. Alacrity says this. Contractor replies back, please find my adjustments to the billing in red. I've agreed all 3 revisions that were in question, which means the contractor admittedly said, you have an arguable point there. As a concession, I'm going to make some changes. Final invoice total is $39,000, so a reduction of $1,289. Nowhere near where we were here. So that means that they originally were probably over 40. Next comes an email from Grange. Hi, contractor. By the way, in none of this time is this adjuster claims property senior technical representative. We looked these up. These do not denote that this person is a licensed adjuster. Also, it's important to know that this name that's redacted is not in the state of Wisconsin. And if one of these were designations for an adjuster, none of them show that this person is licensed to be an adjuster in the state of Wisconsin. So we're already talking about someone trying to adjust a claim for Grange that is not an adjuster. Illegal. The state is extremely interested in this. They need more contractors to give them more examples, to give them a case. I'm sure you understand that we cannot accept pricing that has been manipulated in Xactimate. That's manipulated. Okay, that word means a lot. What you don't see here, again, the insured is on here. The contractor has already issued or given the insured an onboarding package that says we do not use what the insurance company claims to be standard pricing Xactimate because of its antiquated scope. It's from another time. It's not. This is not for us. Okay, they are more. We will not consider higher pricing based upon you making your own price list. We will only consider based upon pricing in the Xactimate price list. Okay, that's important for something I'm going to tell you in just a moment. Okay, keep going. I just want you to know that they're putting this in writing. They are literally putting nails in their own coffin. Good morning. This is from the contractor. Thanks for your quick reply. Being polite, being professional, being polite. I believe Grange has already agreed to the pricing based on the fact that the personal property invoice has been paid using the same exact price list. So on and on and on. It says, I've attached a copy of the Xactimate license agreement, which you can all find. If you use Xactimate, you're listening to this, you're watching this later, just Google Xactimate terms and conditions, scroll down, read the whole thing. You absolutely should understand the rules and policies governing that software and what Xactimate's stance is. But read number 7, and I paraphrase, and I have a video and I have a course about this. I have a course about use of Xactimate that arms you with never having to deal with this argument again. It basically says, please refer to the highlighted. This attachment's not on here. You agree not to prohibit or preclude deviations from the price data where contractor requirements, market conditions, demand, or any other factor warrants the use of a different line item price in the specific situation. That section goes on to say, Xactimate does not claim that the standard price that's published will work for all contractors. It's nothing more than an average and a medium and a place to start. It's arguable that a lot of contractors wouldn't even know where to start charging this format, this line item format, if they didn't have a place to start. But you have to know your cost. You have to know what you're paying people. You look at that rate and Xactimate and said, I'm not making margin enough that's required for my company. He went on to say, contractor blank is not on any program with Grange Insurance or any other carrier. If you'd like to discuss discounting projects based on referring business to us, we would be happy to sit down and put together a program, which means we will work on a program that we mutually agree on based on volume, but we're not going to do a claim and give this back to you. Our company also works very hard at hiring only the best employees with the most experience. By the way, they're background checked. By the way, they're drug tested. This comes at a cost, but separates us by miles from our competition. I can guarantee you that not one of our local competitors would have been able to complete this project to the satisfaction of our mutual customer, provide a culture that puts customers' employees first. I believe that Mr. and Mr. Homeowner can attest to the quality of our staff and the care that they take in completing the projects. And by the way, a 5-star review had already been issued for the work that they did, which also helps them in their case. At your convenience, please forward a copy of the policy to our mutual customer. This is important. Everyone should tell your customer, if they're saying that they don't pay for anything but this price fixing, if they say they're going to price fix, show me in the policy where it says that I agreed to that. It doesn't exist at all. Show me where it says we will not pay on a higher price list. So all these things, this is how you approach. Now, this person sat and did take the time to write this out because this was a sizable loss. They want to stop the shenanigans. So they did the right. They said, I want to get this all in writing. Then we go up here. This is back from Grange, jumping around a little bit here. I guess you were fortunate that we did not catch you using your own price list on the contents, because this is what they said. They already paid the contents with that pricing guideline. You're fortunate that we didn't catch you. You're lucky, Mr. Contractor, that we, the gods of the pricing, didn't catch you using it, or we wouldn't have, or else it wouldn't have been approved. It was called in this estimate, and I previously advised we do not consider changes higher than usual and customary, which is what you are charging. Attaches the estimate written by alacrity, which totals this. You have agreed that the assessment includes all the work done. So again, you have agreed that the assessment includes all the work that was done, which means the scope we agree on. It's the price. And the thing that you are disputing is that you are entitled. The Department of Insurance and Attorney General really enjoyed that little word, entitled, to charge more than usual and customary. You feel that you are good enough, this is all great, guys, to warrant charging nearly 25% more than the going rate in your area for this work. The policy contract states that we owe a reasonable amount. I would beg you to tell me what reasonable means, and that your estimate is not reasonable. You are charging this, and what is reasonable is this. This is a difference of this. We hope that you will consider what is right. This is almost condescending. But again, you don't take it personal. We hope that you will do what is right and accept a fair payment, as this is what we are willing to pay and will not be considering any further payment. Now, at this point, and I know this is told to this adjuster, why are you telling me? Tell your customer that you're going to short them by $9,000 because my price is not unreasonable. And we proved that to the customer many times, or they did. And we are not interested in discussing a discounted program with you. We are not interested in discussing any programs with you. The contractors that we have good relationships with do not charge us discounted rates. We pay all contractors based on the usual and customary rates for necessary repairs. Okay. Guys, this is where I will tell you, and in my course, I have a course, Xactimate, I think it's behind the curtain. If you pull 20 line items, 50 most common used line items out of Xactimate and go back and use a price list, historical data, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, you're going to be astonished to find that many of them are exactly the same. Some of them less. Some of them less, okay? They have a feedback program. If you don't know how they get their pricing, it really, really is important for you to know how to use the software. You're not supposed to use the published price list. If you're on a program, like they're saying that their customers are here, then that's of course what you're going to have to do. I think I can finish here. I think I will go back to my screen. If you're on a vendor program, you have agreed to use Xactimate pricing. Xactimate's price isn't moving because of the way the feedback works, and the 95% of contractors that are not providing feedback of real costs of work, they're only repurposing what's already in there, causes that price point to never change. So that's how they get away with not breaking the law with price fixing, because they are saying there's no policy that I've ever seen. Someone can prove me wrong. There's no policy that I've ever seen. I don't have anybody on the phone, do I, Toby? There's no policy I've ever seen that has the word Xactimate. So this whole, we only use Xactimate pricing and nothing else, that's it's not true. I think that's false, and I think that's bad faith, and you're trying to deceive people. Now, if the carrier and their people don't understand it, then that's a deficiency in their performance, and I think that's where we are headed with this thing. Xactimate pricing is not good. I teach people for mitigation. You don't even need to use Xactimate. I teach people every day how to use other means of estimating, invoicing their jobs, not using Xactimate. Number one, for the cost. The cost of the subscription, it's extremely incredible. It's not needed, and giving the customer and then the insurance company access to that puts you into their net, and they can scrub it and go send this off to a third party, and they can look at it in that way. I hope this was good. Let's say Gordy. Now they've used Matterport. Now they refuse to pay that line item. No, of course, every carrier is a little different. You all probably have seen O&P is the target. They don't want you to make profit and cover your overhead. They have a belief that overhead is in the line item of Xactimate. It's not. Xactimate has written a white paper on that, killing that myth. Listen, it's a bigger conversation. I just wanted to show you that I don't know if these adjusters know better or they don't. I like to believe that they possibly don't. I like to believe that they're good people just doing what they're told, not their fault. It's why we have to use grace and be polite and professional. There's a lack of education on their part. And listen, there are things we don't know. What I do know is there is a right price for a job. How much profit margin should someone make? That's not for anybody but me. Listen, the market will tell you, because the price is between you as the purchaser and the buyer. Should you make 20% net, 30? That's up to your business. That's up to, do you do specialty work and you don't do a lot of claims? You're going to, if I own a hamburger place and I only serve 10 people instead of 100 because I make really good, expensive, eclectic hamburgers, I'm going to need to make more profit. It's business, guys. Insurance company does not get to dictate my business ever, ever, ever. So I just really, 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 really want this industry, as Phil said, if we clean up the education of ourselves, then we have a bigger voice. We have a more standardized. Insurance companies often tell us, well, if it's such a standard practice for you to change the pricing Xactimate, why does almost no one do it? If if you're telling me that testing for asbestos in every home, by the way, because you're required by OSHA to test for asbestos if you are doing demolition, any structure and removal of any PACM, possible asbestos-containing materials. We do that. We're going to charge for it. Insurance company says, I'm not paying that because it's not standard operating procedure. It's the law. I don't know what book they're reading from. But they say, well, how is it that no one else does it but a handful? It's a good question. I'll work on that. But the fact is, it's still the law. So, guys, I stand up for this stuff. You should too. But don't take it personal. I think I was starting on a topic when Mr. Phil, Dr. Phil, that's what I'm going to start calling him, Dr. Phil, when Phil chimed in. If you're the type of person that's extremely emotional, and you go from zero to red hot in half a second, I think dealing with insurance companies in your company and this stuff and customers over payment terms might not be in the best category for you. Delegate that to someone else. I understand. It's your company. It's your money. It's livelihood. You think that nobody else could ever collect your money. You'd be wrong, because there is a truth to having the right information, being armed with that, armed with the right resources and assets to have a cheerleader for a customer like this contractor does in Wisconsin, fighting with them, and had told them, if we don't get this paid quick, we're just going to find the money, pay you, hand them an invoice, and make it officially a breach of their contract with the insurance company, saying that we will reimburse you. It's the way it should be. Customers should pay you, turn an invoice saying, I paid this, reimburse me. There's no calling the insurance company for that. We got to change how we do it. Oh, by the way, I want to add, in that case, if you're having this argument and this dilemma on a big claim, especially one that big, they are being offered $30,000. Tell the customer to request the undisputed amounts. Have the customer get a check for the agreed upon amount with the caveat in writing that we will settle up with the rest of it. Now, that might be appraisal, it might be legal, but get that $30,000. Don't wait. Don't just sit there and hold out and fight for all of it. Hold up and get that out. Gordy, bluebook.net is less than $50 a month, keeps up with the materials. I'm putting this on the screen. Prices on a quarterly basis and much easier to use. They've also considered a third party against Xactimate. Listen, I teach a course, all kinds of options to do it. Much simpler, that costs you nothing, some that cost you more, some that incorporate into what you're already doing, the software you're already using. It's a lot of great. Thank you, Gordy, for that. I'll tell you guys, stick around. Stick around with me. I won't stop. I'm going to keep fighting this fight. We're going to keep educating people. I know people tell me all the time, say, Clark, I changed my business because of what you, and not just me, several of us that started the Rebels many years ago, we still say the same thing, and we've created more Rebels who now, by duplicity, have spread the word bigger. Now more people that don't even know where the genesis of it came from, which is fine, because I'm not doing this to be somebody. I don't want any markers on the road saying this is where Clark did. I want people learning and then teaching more people, and that's how something spreads, and we start to take back our industry. Don't think we have any time for any more callers. Looks like we had, thank you, Phil, for calling in. We'll probably get everybody. I know a lot of people aren't talkative, and a lot of people are lurkers and listeners. Gordy, thank you for your comments, and Phil. These shows are fun. I'm going to continue to move into it. Thanks for the little technical difficulties, but I promise you it's just like your jobs. We forget stuff and we have to go back. A copy of that letter, if you want to meet with your team, build some strategies around it using it as an example, great. Appreciate it. Go to Restoration Nation, the link's in the bottom. Subscribe, or not subscribe. Register. It's free as long as you're a restoration contractor. Go into our awesome new universe. But I'll tell you, I'm really bad about this, and I know the rest of the team. Don't show up if you're never, ever going to contribute. Show up if you're going to be part of the conversation, if you're going to actually be in there bring value, chime in, give perceptions, be part of it. Don't be these groups are dead if nobody talks. The ones that are the best that you get the most from are the ones where people are encouraged to talk. So go to Restoration Nation. It's great. It's simple. You can put the app on your phone. You get notifications, everything. Check us out on Disaster Podcaster. Watch us live here. Share this with your friends if you've got somebody else that wants to watch it while you're driving around on the freeways. On our YouTube channel, our podcast comes out on Friday, which is a cleaned up version of this recorded. If there's anything you didn't see or hear and you wanted to catch the beginning, it'll always be on the podcast on disasterpodcaster.com or YouTube. All the links in the bottom. Just save it, do it. I had a lot of fun. I want you to go and register for Restoration Nation and come to that universe. I'm getting less and less and less. I'm getting less than I'm spending time in Facebook other than just dropping posts for my business and marketing. I'll leave on this. I want you to just think about your interaction with insurance companies. Don't take it personal. Set up a system, set up a line in the sand. Everyone has a rock bottom. Everyone hits that final day. They said, I'm done. I'm not messing with it anymore. Insurance companies don't get any of my attention anymore. When you do that, when you tell your customer up front, when you estimate up front and give the customer a reserve, a number, and keep them abreast every day of what the ticket number, the amount's going to be and the burn rate, and hand them an invoice that matches what you've told them all along, you are in a position of strength and you are the winner of that narrative. Insurance companies be damned. You've got 150 reviews in your community of other people loving what you do. You are not the person they say you are. Show your customer why Xactimate, and they don't want to know all the details, but show them Xactimate says don't use our price guide in that way. I don't know why your insurance company is trying to either mislead you or why they're undereducated. It's not my problem, but we know what we're doing, and that's why you hired us. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Disaster Podcaster. See you next week. Who knows what we're going to do? We'll be talking to you.